We aim each week to bring you some top picks and opinions in the world of MMOs, because after all, we are fans and players of MMOs. So we're going to start off with Kenneth doing some daily quests. After all, we want to lead you off with some easy things to do. The things you want to make sure that helps you get your stuff, your gear, everything else involved. So New World preview event has been happening since August 25th. It goes on to September 4th. I know myself, Solomon, and Sir Jaziel have been playing it and trying it. I can't play it while I'm on the road because my laptop won't handle it. If I can convince my mom to download it, let me download it on her computer. We'll see how it plays out, okay? The game did peak, apparently I saw an article, with 48,000 players. So it's a definite stress test. How are you guys enjoying the game so far?
It is better than I thought. That's all I could really sum it up as.
Okay, fair enough. But you, so Jaziel?
I would say the same thing. Now, of course, I did play alpha and as well as the test. Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
My internet. My internet looked like it was gonna poop out on me there. Sorry. And I can. I don't think much changed from the stress test or whatever we were calling it. But definitely from alpha, there's been some improvements, some little tweaks made that I definitely approve of. And you know what? I'm having fun. It definitely is more fun when you're playing with other people as opposed to going solo, because the game wasn't designed for going solo like ESO and WoW and all those games that you can do either way. But man, you know what? For what the game is, dude, I gotta applaud them. It's pretty awesome, and I hope that they don't change it too much. I'm going to sneak that in right now again. I've been saying it on my streams. I said it on Jafar's podcast. I've said it on our thing that we were talking when we talked about New World. Amazon Game Studios, don't try to turn it into WoW, or ESO, Final Fantasy 14, Guild Wars 2. Keep that core of the game, the command and conquer and defend. Keep that in the game. That's what keeps you unique. Yes, I've asked. Solomon hasn't said much about it, but Kenton has said it too. We want more PvE, but honestly, you know what? If we want a PvE, we can go to those other games, and we'll come to your game when we want to kick some booty, because that's really what it's going to take to succeed, is to be different. Don't try to be the other games.
Right.
I apologize. I was one of those guys on your forums. You know that. I was one of the guys on the internet saying, I wish it was more like WoW. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. I want you guys stay the way you are. Stay the course. It's okay. I will still play your game. I have not canceled my pre-order. I'm going to play the game. It's not my first love. You're not my first love, but I love you anyway. So I'll end it with that.
All right. Yeah, I have to mute my mic when you guys are talking, because apparently there's an echo that comes in, because I guess my microphone from my laptop is picking up the audio file. Anyways, yeah. So I gave two of my codes to my kids, to one of my daughters, one of my son. My son, same echoing, it was better than he thought it was. Obviously, for a lot of people, it's going to be what happens in May of next year. Next up, we have ESO. They had a DLC release. I have too much to say about that. I haven't played it. WoW Shadowlands has gotten a date. Gamescom came out with an October 27th date. We'll be jumping into that pretty soon again, and we will have a pre-launch party. So more to follow on that. For those of you who are old school when it comes to Ultimate Online, maybe not necessarily the first MMO, maybe the first one that was tagged MMORPG. Apparently, it's coming to Steam. At 6 years in the making. I just put it out there because a lot of people still like to play classic Ultima Online. And in my section called Who Cares Edition, Fallout 76 is previewing worldwide level scaling.
I know, amazing.
Whoopity.
I'm just I don't care. Anyways. All right, we're gonna hand it off now. That was the daily quest, delivery quest, to deliver you some good, awesome stuff. We do have CEO of Awesome in the stream, so let's make sure you pass on some awesomeness. Mr. Jazio, go talk, and I will mute myself so no echo for you.
No echo for me. Nope, no echo. Okay, so he actually put the notes in for me this time, which I was tripping on, but it is what I was going to talk about mostly. I said that I would do it during my live stream today, so I have to do it for those of you who are coming over from that. I was dang close, wasn't I? I was off by 1 week, but I did call it. I don't have ESP. I didn't have any insider information. Blizzard just loves Gamescom, and they love that show in Germany like a whole lot because they normally save a lot of cool trailers or animations and in-game cinematics and just big announcements for that show. In fact, they've been accused of showing cooler stuff there than at BlizzCon, from depending on what year you're talking about. Which that's great. I think that's awesome. And I knew that they would be doing that. And I was off by 1 week. I don't know how, other than I think it was just luck. And I did number crunching just like Bluler and all them other guy Noble and all them other guys did the same thing. We all looked at like their track record as far as how long that Blizzard normally takes to pump these things out, from PTR to beta to pre-launch to launch. They've been pretty on the numbers for the last at least 2 expansions, if not kind of 3. So it was just all doing numbers, which Kenneth understands as an engineer. That's all I did. And I'm pretty happy. Now I'm not in beta. I did end up getting an invite last week, but I'm not gonna do it this time. I did get on PTR, and I did the little pre-launch events week 1, 2, and 3, and I can say they're pretty fun. I enjoyed them, although there were some people complaining about. I think it was week 2, because it does if you're questing and leveling characters and you're going into major cities, it does kind of hamper progress because there's that whole scourge thing going on that is, I admit, it's probably a little bit annoying if you're trying to do questing, but if you just take it that, hey, this week we're just going to mess around and have fun, I'm not going to be serious. There's a lot of fun to be had there, and I would encourage everybody to do that. I'm looking forward to the number crunch as far as the levels for several reasons. I have several characters that I need to work on, as I found out. And now that I'm spread across 4 servers, what am I doing?
Wow.
I don't know why I'm doing that. And I created my 5th warlock last night. I have 5 warlocks now.
That's so metal of you.
Yes, spread across 5 servers. Because I refuse to pay to do a realm transfer. I'm sorry, it's too expensive, and I'm not doing it anymore. I have kids to feed. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. So far, I don't want to spoil it because I know, CEOs here, you said. I actually don't have the stream up right now. But there are a couple of friends that come visit and also watch our YouTube show on Solomon's channel. And for those of you who don't do that yet, please go catch that over there.
Please do.
Yeah, he needs it. And watch watch the whole video. Even if you got to walk away, just leave it playing. if you get bored, just leave it playing. Go watch, open another tab, because the algorithm, if you watch it for 5 minutes and shut it off and then say, oh, I'll go back and watch the rest of it later, it jacks up his algorithm.
It's true.
We're trying. It's true. Unfortunately, it's really messing him up right now. So do us a favor and watch the whole video. Even if you get bored or whatever, or you've already watched us live and you're like, I already seen that. Just let it play in the background. Just mute it. Let it play in the background.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I know the server transfer thing. I did a couple of those back in the day, and you don't want to keep doing it all the time. It's too expensive. No. And I can see your point. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be across 4 realms because basically I have 2 realms. Thank goodness. My druid that I used to play a bunch with is on Proudmoore, so I'm already set there. My priest that I made is still in another realm. So if I ever want to bring my priest back in, that will be a server transfer. But right now, I'm not planning on doing that.
Yeah, the thing is that it's going to be what I was getting at with saying the people that may be lurking right now is I know a lot of them have asked me not to give too many spoilers with the PTR content and got kind of angry with me when Week 2 was going on, and I kind of blurted out what that was all about, and they felt kind of betrayed by me, so I had to apologize.
On a self-imposed NDA. NDA.
So I don't want to say too much, but what I will say is I think this is going to be a pretty smooth, pretty good transition into Shadowlands, and from what I have seen of Shadowlands, I do like the story so far, and a lot of the changes with the classes it's very uneven for me. Like I have some of the classes I feel like they got hit way too hard with the nerf bat, and there's others that I think they're way too powerful right now. So there's some balancing issues that they still need to work on. I can say that for sure. But other than that, I think the level crunch and the leveling experience is so much better, guys. It is so much easier, so much faster, and I love the way they set it up right now. The way it's working out is pretty awesome. That introduction, the new introduction quest to the game that kind of teaches you the game, is brilliant. It's great. I actually had a couple of guys that I was teaching how to play the game come over to PTR where that's at with me to teach them the game, and they learned all the basics. I didn't have to do it now because I was able to send them there and go with them, and it teaches you pretty much everything. So yeah, it's looking good, guys.
Here, you mentioned that. I mean, I noticed at the East of the New World in the preview event, the first 10 levels are pretty much their tutorial. And they teach you how to gather, make, craft, kill stuff, explore, do things. And then once you hit 10, then they kind of let you go a little bit. All right. So, Solomon, your turn. What do you have to deliver us some goodness, awesomeness?
Yeah, so this week, Guild Wars 2 announced that they're celebrating their 8th year anniversary. Oh boy, 8 years. Guild Wars 2 was probably one of the most anticipated games I've ever wanted to play, but also the most disappointing MMO I've ever played because there was so much hype behind it. I played the first one like for what feels like 10 years. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 10 years. It just feels that way. And I have a lot of relationships, friendships that I've made through that game that I still have today. So that game really meant a lot to me. So I was really looking forward to Guild Wars 2. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. They're celebrating their 8th anniversary, and they did announce that they are releasing a new expansion for the game called The End of Dragons or something like that, and this expansion is going to take place in the land of Kantha, which is kind of like their Asian themed area of the game. So be on the lookout for that in the year 2021. I don't know when in 2021, but they did say they're going to release it next year. So hopefully, that will help the game out. I know they are releasing content for the Icebrood Saga, but they're leaving out a lot of the dialogue because of the whole the global sickness that originated in a particular place of Asia that I won't say because I'm trying to put this on YouTube.
COVID.
Good. Dang it, Dad. Totally bleeping that out now because of you. But anyways,
it's more about the fact they block people out if they're trying to talk about it, not just mentioning it.
I know, but I still don't want to take any chances because I'm just under 300 subscribers now, and it's just like you know what I mean? Like it's not that big of a deal. You're right, but I just don't want to take any chances, so that's why I don't say it.
Let's talk about that.
Dude, 280.
Let's talk about.
No. Moving on. MMOs.
Yeah. So there's that. Oh yeah. So hopefully they'll get the voice actors back to do the voiceovers for the characters for the content that's already out right now. So it'd be a more complete game. At least I would feel it would be a more complete game, even though I don't really play that much anymore.
If I could interject to that real quick before the next part. I actually know 2 of the voice actors.
Oh wow!
Have done a lot of work in the past, and they actually have studios in their homes, so they're going to be able to send those in and work from home. So that I don't know about the rest of them because normally there's a dozen or so voice actors, but I know them personally. I've seen pictures of their studios, and they're really cool. I wish I had the money to do something like that. But they're basically just they converted a walk-in closet into a little studio. But I imagine that's what they're going to do, and they'll listen to them, and if they're usable, they'll use them, and if they're not able to do that, then it's good that they didn't give a date yet for End of Dragons. Because that way, if it does take longer for people to be able to go back and travel to the studio and do it professionally there, they've got the time. I just wanted to interject.
No, that's cool. I really hope that they could probably do that for every one of their voice actors,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, really quick. Black Desert Online is getting a new class next week called the Hashashin, which is essentially another word for assassin in, I don't know, Aramaic or Arabic or something like that. I can't remember, so I do apologize for my ignorance there. But essentially, it's a character that kind of looks like Xerxes from 300, which I think is really, really cool. Ship of Heroes MMORPG, that's very, very similar to City of Heroes, City of Villains, is doing their invasion test for everybody. So even if you're not a backer, you could definitely check out I guess that's their way of beta testing their game right now, but they're just calling it an invasion test. And let's see. Dual Universe also started their beta tests as well, and that's probably one of my more anticipated games that I'm very looking forward to. That's an MMORPG. It's a sci-fi game that combines the elements of Star Citizen and EVE Online, but also Minecraft, because it is a voxel game. Very sand based, so if you're really into like creativity and sandbox but for sci-fi in outer space, definitely a game for you. And lastly, now this game isn't really an MMO, but I'll pass it just because it does have online features to it, co-op features to it. But there's another game coming out called Gotham Knights, and I'm mentioning this also as well because I know a lot of us are Batman fans out there. And this game is gonna, in my opinion, is gonna play very similar to the Arkham series, but unfortunately, it has nothing to do with the Arkham series. It's as if the Arkham series doesn't even exist, so it's a completely different entity in terms of the Batman universe with this one. And the funny thing is, you can't even play as Batman. There's no Batman in this one. I think that's why they just call it Gotham Knights instead of Batman Gotham Knights. But you do get to play as Red Hood, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Robin. And they all have their separate sort of tree or ability tree that we will talk about earlier from the notes that Ken wrote up for us. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this, even though it has co-op and it has very sort of MMOs, little bit MMO features, it will not be a live service game, which is really awesome in my opinion. If it was a live service game, then you could probably argue more so than it would be something that we could cover as an MMORPG podcast, because live service games tend to be a little bit more RPG related. But I'm actually happy it won't be a live service after what happened to Anthem. And so, yeah, there you have it. There's all the news that I got for this week.
All right. Thanks for delivering us some awesomeness. Dual Universe, I kickstarted that game, and every time I jump in to try it, I'm always disappointed. Because it says, do this and this and this to collect stuff on the very beginning. And I try to do it, and it's like the tutorial is just nothing. It's just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I run out into an area where all people have their bikes now and all their little stuff, and I can't do anything. I'm like, I just log off. I'm like, you guys are just, it's beta. I know it's beta. Okay. So anyway, now on to some storyline quest. So I was, again, if you ever want to get some content, you got to listen to whether it's Solomon's Coffee and RPG show, you do a podcast for Massively OP. What came up was an interesting question that happened to Massively OP on their podcast about talent trees. And I thought about, let's just talk about talent trees and whether or not our thoughts are on talent trees. Whether it's, do we want them complex or simple? Do you want them to have it all laid out, or do you want it customizable? I mean, we have seen over the course of, I've been playing MMO games almost 20 years now, a variety of talent trees. And in some respects, the simpler they are, the easier it is for me to do it. But I also like the customizable talent trees that make me a totally unique person. The downside with totally unique person is you think about, well, what do I really want? And if you want to be a min-max, it doesn't always work that way. You got to go to the all the people who have their websites and give you tips and what is the best talent tree to do. So talent trees, do you want them complex or simple? Do you want them customizable, or do you want them all laid out for you? I don't know. Solomon, let's go with you first.
I think they're kind of necessary for MMOs. Well, okay, never mind. Hang on. I take that back. I think they're necessary when it comes to the RPG aspect of MMOs. Because when you think of a role-playing game, there are certain aspects of a role-playing game that needs to be sort of the fundamental part of it in order to actually be called a role-playing game in the first place, right? And so I think talent trees, one form of another, is sort of necessary, because you're going to be... Because the purpose of a role-playing game, or one of the aspects that people look forward to in a role-playing game, is leveling up and having some sort of talent system that you use to distribute to gain certain strength and abilities in different aspects. Like, I mean, the classic example in my opinion would be Fallout, where you have strength and intelligence and perspective and stuff like that. And as far as I can tell, even though I never really played D&D, I've seen people play it. There's certain aspects that's very similar to like the original role-playing games, which are the tabletop games like D&D and things of that nature. Although they kind of get into it, and they could dress up as the character that they role play, and if they speak with an accent, that's also an aspect of role-playing too, but that's kind of different because that's LARPing, whereas with games you're actually role-playing within the game, so you don't have to speak with an accent unless you want your character to have it with whatever the game developers allow you to have. So in terms of complications, in terms of how it should be implemented, that's a really good question. I think it really just depends on the game. I know World of Warcraft, even though again I haven't played since the Wrath of the Lich King, I know they went through different iterations of how they distribute talents and their skill trees and whatnot. At one point I think it got really complicated, like right after Wrath of the Lich King, and Serge Azil, you could correct me on this, and then they try to simplify it again, like sometime like after Mist of Pandaria or something like that, and then or something I can't really remember, but I know certainly Star Wars: The Old Republic certainly went through their own changes in terms of talent tree revamping and overhaul. I don't think there actually has been a major MMORPG that hasn't went through their own overhaul when it comes to that kind of stuff. And as far as I can tell, they all got simplified. You could certainly tell that is the case with Star Wars: The Old Republic, because they went something very similar to World of Warcraft at the time when it was released, where they actually had 3 different subclasses, and you could actually put talent trees in each individual class or subclass, and then when you max that out, you were allowed, like, given maybe 10 or 20 spare ones to kind of put, into other subclasses to kind of give you a bigger oomph, but they completely did away with that. And I know the old World of Warcraft did something similar, and I'm pretty sure it's way different now, where to the point where it's just like, it's like this little I don't know what you call it. It's like a maze, but you can only go one direction, and it kind of gives you the illusion of progress, even though you don't really have much of a say as to where you can or cannot go with your different abilities, more or less. So, I personally think they kind of changed, at least in MMOs, for the worst a little bit, because when you simplify something too much, it doesn't really have that same oomph anymore, and this is something that I've heard earlier in another podcast that Morrowind does, and he's a popular Black Desert Online player, and he said that I think companies are catering too much to the PvE Care Bears. Unfortunately, most RPGs just don't have that special PvE oomph anymore, where the moment somebody gets ganked or PK'd, they instantly send in a ticket, but you don't send in tickets for getting PK'd. I get that that's what's the word am I looking for?
Not very honorable, but not illegal, I guess.
No, yeah, but it's like, what's the word? Like, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I'm looking for a word where where both parties have to agree to something in order for you to do that something. Oh my goodness, this is gonna bug me for the rest of the...
An agreement? I don't know.
Well, anyways, consensual consent. Consent. Like, if you PK somebody, that's not necessarily consent, and I get that, and it's frustrating. Nobody wants to get PK'd, right? And so they'll send in the ticket, and it's like, you're not supposed to send in a ticket for those things. It doesn't matter if it was consensual or not. It's just part of the game. And so, and I know I digressed a little bit. The only reason why I brought that up is because I think it goes along with the whole too much simplifying MMOs these days to cater to the lowest common denominator, which are quote unquote those type of people, and in my opinion. So
that's a good point. I mean, that's the thing. That's why I asked the question about complex versus simple, because on one level, as an RPG player, you want to role play this game, and yet you also want to be able to be helpful. If you're in a group, you want to be able to heal or tank or DPS. And if your talent tree is set up just a way that is wonderful for what you want to do, but sucks in a raid, you're like, well, I can't do it. And that's in simplified trees makes it simple where everyone's all cookie cutter. But as an RPG, you want to actually do your own thing.
No, that's a good point.
Before we get to Sir Jazeel. Hi, Eva. I love how she called Sir Jazeel a hairless cat.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
So deflated right now. Maybe if I just put the dog up here, you won't be able to tell. There, that looks better.
You had to hold back on that one, okay?
There you go.
All right. Anyways, so Jazeel, what are your thoughts on talent trees?
Okay, well, the three that I'm super familiar with would be Guild Wars 2. Was it? Oh, yeah. Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft, and Elder Scrolls Online. And all three of them do... you can't even really call two of them a talent tree, technically. The way that Guild Wars 2 does it is what class you are first, and then what weapon that you're utilizing. And when you change which weapon that you're utilizing, you get a different skill set. So you can customize your character in that way that, if you go from, you're doing, say, a bow, and then you switch over to using a two-handed sword, you're going to get a different set of skills to do that. But there are different skills that you can choose to put in those places with those specific things. So that does give you a little bit of I was going to say originality, but you know, the thing is, and when I get to the other two, I'm going to say the same thing because it's true. Most players, I think, tend to go online, go to a website, and see what's the template for the best.
Right.
Which one gives the best healing? Which one gives the best DPS? Which one's best for tanking? The Holy Trinity. Bringing that full circle into our podcast here.
There you go.
And that's always going to be the case. It's been the case since not really Meridian 59 so much, but definitely when EverQuest came along. The way EverQuest did it was they had what they called AA points, the alternative advancement points. Whenever you got to max level, you would still be leveling. And with every level that you got, you could put that point into alternative advancement. And they had, I swear there's probably 1,000 different things that you could choose from to put those points into. And then you could just keep ramping it up that way. Now, World of Warcraft, of course, it started out actually, it had, all classes, I believe all of them except Druid had 4, but all the other ones had 3. No, actually, Druid did start out with 3, I think. I don't know. CEO might have to help me on that one. I'm trying to remember back, but the what? Okay. Sorry, she wants down now. So what you ended up with was that you could put points into different trees and you could mix and match and people could do their own thing. But most people did go to the websites or talk to their friends and try to find out what was the best place to put those points. And you ended up with cookie cutter builds, really. And that's okay. But then there were people like myself who would, challenge that and say, well, I don't know, man. I think it really depends on your play style. And maybe for me, this is better. And for Kennethan, this set is better, and you were able to be a little bit more creative than you are now. Now, World of Warcraft, basically every 15 levels, although that's changing now, of course, with the number crunch and everything, you've got a bar that goes across and you have 3 different ones that you can choose from. And for most, especially we'll just go with DPS so I don't talk for the next 30 minutes just on World of Warcraft. For DPS, you normally will have like one of them will be good for AoE, for area effects attacks. Another one will be good for single target. And then there'll be another one that'll be like for special circumstances or for mitigation of incoming attacks on you, kind of a thing. So every 15 levels, you get another one that you can put your points into. Again, people normally go to Icy Veins or Noxic or any of the other ones, and they just go cookie cutter and they go, oh, well, this is good for whatever that the person's into. If they're into raiding, dungeon crawling, or they're just going to be soloing and going around doing world quests and leveling, whatever, they pick out whatever's best for their character for that. And very little play because normally for some reason Blizzard has not been too great at balancing things to make all 3 of them equal or in worth. And normally there'll be one that if you pick the other 2, you're going to lose 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 DPS, or your healing's going to like suffer really badly, or your tanking mitigation is going to suffer. And there'll be that one that it's like you're really, I don't want to say stupid, but if you don't pick that one, it's like so much better than the other 2. And they've had that problem for a while now, and they're supposedly it's going to be better, but they tell us that every time, so we'll see in Shadowlands. So far, I'm hearing back from people that are in beta, that are playing PTR, that a lot of the classes they've played do feel a little bit better, and they have made those other talents a little more like, hey, maybe in situationally, like on certain bosses or certain real bosses or different situations, maybe that other one might actually work for me and be good. And I hope that that's true. I would like to see that happen, because we have not had that for a while. The other one is, again, I'm being very brief here, guys. I'm trying to. The other one is Elder Scrolls Online. What was that for? The other one's Elder Scrolls Online, and the way that they do it is, man, that one is probably my favorite, because you go in there and you can choose what skills that you want, and you've got all these different, especially the different schools and whatnot that you can do. Normally, you get 3 that are base and have tons of different skills that you can choose from. And then you've got, like the guilds within the game that you can, you got to do your quest line and stuff to be favored by them. And then it unlocks a whole bunch more that you can choose from. And the ability to be different for me from Solomon's build and from Kenneth's build is just, it's not unlimited, but like, there are so many viable choices that, and I find myself picking certain skills and then going, hey, you know what though? I want to try this other one, and then trying something different. And man, I really like that, but now I want to try something else. And you really can. It feels so much more balanced in Elder Scrolls Online. And I would really like to see something like that in World of Warcraft, honestly. But I don't know if the base World of Warcraft players would like that. I think most World of Warcraft players like it being more simple and being more of a system where it's like, it's obvious you're going to pick that for AoE, you're going to pick that for single target, you're going to pick that for raiding, that for dungeons, that for leveling. And it's fine, it's serviceable. I don't mind it so much, but man, I have so much more fun with the hundreds and hundreds of different skills that you can choose from in Elder Scrolls Online and make a truly unique character. It feels better, man. So I'm if I was to like pick one, it would definitely be the way that Elder Scrolls Online does it. I do like the way Guild Wars 2 does it with switching up weapons, but we don't do that so much in World of Warcraft, so I don't think that would work at all.
Yeah, I think that you're right. Elder Scrolls Online seems to have the best, because the way you can, I like the customization that is allowed in this kind of games, and that's what Elder Scrolls has. Like you said, World of Warcraft has changed their trees over the years. I hadn't really seen much of the tree in New World, in my opinion, right now. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes out, So looks like Eva is like, she hates being cookie cutter. I'd switch it up. That's where I think having the ability to switch it up is really cool idea, like you said. You can have a build you want to do leveling, a build you want to do raiding, a build you want to do crafting. The thing is, what really hurts, I think, you're forced in saying, well, I want this to be my build. And then you hear, well, that won't work to raid. And you're like, you can't join us then. Like, what? I remember people asking me, I think back when I was doing World of Warcraft, guild leader and raiding, people would ask, and I said, well, just play what you want to play. I mean, we'll try to make adaptations. The problem is that a lot of the bosses, if you don't narrowly tailor your characters in the proper specs, okay, then you'll never down the boss.
That's true.
And so you want it to be hard, but you also don't want to be too hard. You want to play your character, but your character be a certain build just to down the boss and kind of like, well, whatever, you know. So, anyways, so Eval says, remember when the talent tree in WoW used to have so many points in each skill, and you could be a mix of however you wanted it. That was my favorite. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's storyline quest right now. The reason why you guys hear some echoing is when I don't mute myself. They're talking. That's why I mute myself, my microphone, when they're talking, because I'm sitting in a hotel here in Utah trying to do the show. Our escort quest coming up is that, you know, Gamescom was past weekend. You got the announcement for World of Warcraft, other stuff too. Coming up is online packs, September 12th to 19th. There might be some more stuff. Who knows at this point? What new is there to be announced at this point in the game? But we'll wait and see. So next up is another kind of question I thought was interesting. Was there is a World of Warcraft classic RP guild called Victory or Death that literally their byline, if you join their guild, the idea is that it's permadeath. It's when your character dies, you have to build a new character. It's, I mean, and I don't think it dies with if you can get resurrected. It's literally if you're running across the world and you all of a sudden die, you trip on a stone, you fall and you die, and there's no one there to res you. You're dead. Restart. You're almost at that magical 50 level and you're 49.9 and you die. So it got me under a question, like, would we ever want to see an MMO? There are some games that have permadeath. Would you ever want to see an MMO that has permadeath? Solomon.
How about you go first this time, Dad?
Considering, I mean, okay, thank you. Playing Dark Age of Camelot always made me cautious, is because when you die Camelot, you would lose XP. You wouldn't lose XP beyond the level, but you could literally go back down to the beginning of the level again, and that was a painful endeavor. So you try to avoid death at all possible. You know, you made sure you have a healing on your team, your DPS tank. I mean, you had the correct team together to make sure you can take the care of the mobs. So my idea of permadeath would probably make me think I would quit the game, because I don't think I could ever live with permadeath. I don't mind if they restrict it down to, say, I don't know, maybe 10 deaths per character. I don't know, but to me, no, I don't want to do that. You know. All right, Solomon, your turn now.
Fair enough. Permadeath would turn me off too, just because I know Ninja has a problem with this term, but I can more or less understand it. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. You know what I mean? And when he says he disagrees with that statement, he's talking about something completely different. So we're not even talking about the same thing when I say it's just a game. So when I say it's just a game, it's like some people, yeah, they want to get hardcore into it, the immersion, you know, greatest guild, best gear, max out everything, blah, blah, blah. And they find satisfaction in that. Some people, they just want to jump in because they want to escape reality, you know, after a hard day's work, whatever. Understandable too. So there's definitely going to be a game that's going to cater to a wide variety of audiences with a common or a certain interest, which is whatever the game that you're playing provides. Me, on the other hand, I am on the same boat with you, Ken. I wouldn't be able to handle a game that actually has permadeath, especially when I play games for the long term. Like, again, I play Black Desert Online, and that is one of the grindiest games that you'll ever play, second only to, say, Lineage 2, in my opinion. Maybe 3 if you count EVE Online, but goes to show how grindy the game is. And if it had permadeath, like everything that I grinded for in this past 2 years, just to be gone just like that because somebody PK'd me or something, or I messed something up, that would just drive me freaking nuts. And there's no way I'd ever play a Black Desert Online again if that were the case, or any MMO if that were the case. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm totally on board with you on that. Although, and this is something that Serge Oziel could probably fill you in on more because he's played more of these type of games. But when you think of permadeath MMORPGs, you kind of think of more along the lines of survival RPGs or survival online games. Say for example, our favorite Population Zero, which has a 0 population. I know. In games of that nature, where they recycle the world like every month to every 3 months or whatever the cycle is, and in those type of games there is more of a consequences of dying in the game. And I know Ashes of Creation is trying to make it such that if you're somebody who has, say, negative karma and you start PKing people, like people will actually be able to loot your body, loot your corpse, whatever gear that you're wearing, which I think is super interesting. So there's definitely in the way that we're talking about right now, it's not 1 or 100, it's not one or the other. It seems to be a combination of both, somewhere in the middle with a lot of these games, and I think that's probably the way to go. But hey, I mean, if there is an MMO out there where there is permadeath, I mean, have at it. But I sure as heck wouldn't be playing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think if there was an option, like I said, this particular guild is on a role playing server, not a PvP server. Can you imagine being ganked all the time, or having your guild title victory and death, and all people are going to do is hunt you down to try to force you back into permadeath? But as a role playing, I mean, I think that's a great idea if they wanted to do it. If they had the option of doing that game kind of that, I would appreciate it. I could not play a game. Anyway, so Jaziel, what are your thoughts about a permadeath MMO?
I don't think permadeath lends itself too well to MMOs, just because of the base that MMOs are by design grindy and take a long time, and they're designed to be played for a long time. And having something that you worked on for potentially years, but maybe if you are like me and you die just by falling off a cliff in World of Warcraft, because it's there and it's going to happen. That really sucks, man. I could see. I've played on role playing servers in the past, not terribly much, but in the past in World of Warcraft, and there was I can't remember their name now. I was going to give them a shout out, but there was a horde guild where once you got to a certain, you got max level and you got your gear and everything, that you could have a retirement. You would retire that character and not play it anymore. So you weren't necessarily deleting the character. You could still play it as long as you transferred it off that realm. But you could no longer play it on that realm. And what they would do a lot of times is they would say, do you want to die natural death, or does your character want to die like epically, like against a raid, or going into PvP battlegrounds or arena fight or something? And then they would have like a mock funeral in the game for you with eulogy and awake and everything. And then you would create a new character, and that character would be like the son of that character, or a cousin or nephew or niece or whatever. And that I can see. I can jive with that, but having permadeath as in your character gets deleted, no, dude. No, maybe there's some people that love to be punished out there, but I get punished enough in the real world. I don't need to have that happen. But I do know, it's been a couple of years back now. I know some streamers still do it, where they do the challenges and they try to get to max level without dying. And if their character dies, then they do delete it. I know like most of the big major MMO streamers have done it at some point in the past. And, that's okay for them. And I enjoyed, watching a couple of them do it. But for me, no. I got the big thumbs down for that. I wouldn't play. Like I said, especially if they just retire your character and you can't play that character on that realm anymore. Okay. If you die and they delete the character, no.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's why I think that's why this whole thing is very interesting, because the people who do that, they try that. And the thing is, for them, it is still no harm, no foul, because even if they're trying to say, hey, I'm going to run this character without ever dying, and when I die, I start over again like a speed run, that's their choice. They're not forced into it, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Eva pointing out the fact that she's heard of one where your character had a fear of something in game, had the role play around that, like having spiders, rivers, flying. But and that reminds me of the fact in D&D 5th edition, you do have a flaw. You know, and that's where having a flaw like that is kind of cool. And that's that role-playing portion. Again, the RPG in the MMORPG is role-playing game. Not really role-playing as much when we're playing a character. When you're actually in a role-playing server, then you can do voices, you can do the whole thing. Like, and again, the retirement. When you mentioned about that, I do recall there was a game. I mean, is it Crowfall? On a game where basically your character ages. Okay, your character ages. So your character dies. The soul doesn't. You can go get a new body. You know, and so therefore that was part of the benefit of that game. Literally having people be able to age, eventually die, gotta start a new character. You can carry over. You don't lose your loot and gear and your house or nothing, but you kind of start the whole series again. I forget what game it is.
I know exactly what game you're talking about. I'm blanking on the name too.
What is it? Chronicles of Livia? No.
I can't remember, but I remember reading about a game like that too, where your character could like die out of old age and then have all its stats be transferred to like their offspring or something.
Mm-hmm. I remember
Crowfall. Crowfall has your ability to have you can change bodies. You have a soul that in a house. I mean, but I don't. That's the one. But that would be interesting. But permadeath. No, that's terrible. All right, that was it for our class quest, our world event. Now that we actually have an actual date for Shadowlands coming out, we will have our preview show, and then our launch party once again for Shadowlands on October 27th. Times will be announced once we know more about it. And there's also the fact that I don't know if it really matters or not, but there will be that before that, like in September, maybe like next month, I'm not sure when, get back from my vacation, the triumphant return of Kennethan to World of Warcraft. So I don't know if it's going to be a big deal or not.
Wait, how's it go again? How's it go?
The triumphant return to World of Warcraft.
It's flipping it.
One more time, Dad. One more time.
But those who jumped in middle of I'm obviously streaming from Utah, and I'm using my laptop with my son's old laptop, as he calls it, a POS. And anyways, it doesn't allow me to do a lot of different things. And my headset that I got free from Taco Bell with regards to my Overwatch thing. Even says Overwatch on a thing. Kind of has a little bit more, too much bass. I couldn't understand people, so I decided to use no headphones. So there we go. So World Event's coming up. Stay tuned for that. Wow, holding my breath. Okay. Anyways, that's it for the show tonight. Where our dailies are done, our latest quest lines are complete, villages are looted, and so it's now time to go AFK. So where can we find you, Solomon?
The same old, Coffee and RPGs on YouTube. Although I mentioned a few weeks ago, I did make a second channel called Cosmic Prayers, where that's just more about my artistic side of things more so than Coffee and RPGs, where I just create music and scenery that just kind of makes me think of the universe and how that connects us with God and stuff like that. I'm gonna change the name this week, so it might not even be Cosmic Prayers by the end of this week. So but you'll find me at Coffee and RPGs primarily, where I keep everybody up to date with the latest news, trends, and updates in the MMO and RPG gaming genre. And again, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Solomon_SK. as well. And I'm still playing Black Desert Online. Played the New World with these guys and had a lot of fun. Again, surprisingly a lot of fun playing that game. And playing Epic 7 right now, actually, just to catch things up a little bit with, I guess, my mobile side of gaming. But yeah, other than that, that's it.
Yeah, go check out the YouTube channel for all the good information, news from MMORPGs. And just RPGs themselves, give him your feedback. He always welcomes that. And of course, watch the full video for the algorithm. I love the fact that the changes you made with those little title cards now. Like one of them, you was like, you made a comment about Dragon Age 4, or 5, whatever it is, right? And that title by itself, like, what? I better go watch this, okay? Because I'm like, what do you mean? I know that a BioWare had a thing with it was Gamescom, and he talked about it didn't show much that they're working on it, So, anyways,
thanks.
Isaiah, where can we find you
at? Mostly just here on Twitch at Serge Aziel, one word there. And if you need to get a hold of me, I'm on Twitter. A little bit less lately. I'm getting kind of I wouldn't say burned out, but just tired of all the political and crazy stuff going on there. And Discord, yeah. So that's about all I'm doing publicly right now. There's some things going on behind the scenes that I'm working on. I'm still trying to figure out a way to do that podcast, the music podcast. As most of you know, I was working on it and then found out that the licensing went up to about $500 a month, which I'm not independently wealthy. So unfortunately, that is quite the setback. But there is a group of Christian guys and gals who are going to try to come together, and one of them has a lawyer father, so he's trying to find a way to make that happen still. So it may not, I thought it was dead, it may not be, but in the meantime, if the other place is Spotify, if you are on Spotify, I have several playlists there for people to enjoy, whether you like Christian rock, Christian metal, or Christian hip hop. I'm working on new playlists right now for EDM and other styles of music.
Really?
As well, so,
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll definitely have to
so
check that out.
In the meantime, enjoy that.
Yeah, so yeah, Yoshi, it's called the Masters Metal. You can find it on podcast now if you want to go see all the older episodes. They're there. You don't have to wait for the new stuff, but the old stuff's there too. Well, actually, it's all old stuff at this point. But anyways, yeah, you can see all that stuff where it's heavy metal, really heavy metal, or brutal, the kind I don't like when you scream. But
no, you don't like slam metal. You don't like slam metal.
I love slam.
Slam's awesome.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do that. Awesome. Yeah. You can find me on Kennethan or Kennethan Live on my Twitter account. I do stream here, even though with my being on vacation, I might not be streaming as much. How about trying it? Again, I have my laptop all set up for this. I can stream it from here, but I don't know if I can actually stream and play a game at the same time. So we'll have to check it out when I go get to my mom's place tomorrow, see how her internet works out. Tomorrow night is Pastors After Dark on the GMA channel. And before that, I did do the Let's Pray. We'll see if I can do that or not. I'm not sure. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, so thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for being here, and God bless you guys. And we'll see you next week on some more Trinity MMO Show.
Do the cut. You gotta do the cut.
Do the cut. For everyone, cut. Scene.